This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Leo Inc., Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.
Good morning, Lynners and all others watching. It's almost Labor Day, which means the official start of a new school year. In that spirit, the state announced the distribution of early education grants, along with fall adjustments from the MBTA and several final summer celebrations. This ties in well with our lowdown, where we welcomed Police Chief Chris Reddy to talk about back-to-school safety tips and the growing role of technology in police work. With that, let's jump right in with the news for Friday, August 29th, 2025. U.S. Senator from Massachusetts, Elizabeth Warren, was at City Hall yesterday, August 28th, to discuss the Renewing Opportunity in the American Dream Road to Housing Act of 2025. The bipartisan bill, for which Warren is a principal co-sponsor, unanimously passed the Senate Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs 24-0. During the press conference, Warren highlighted three key components of the bill. Firstly, increasing tools for communities who wish to build more housing, also addressing problems such as appraisal bias and housing for the homeless, and third, having the federal government as a partner for communities who are trying to build housing. The road bill does not dictate any changes in how communities create housing. Rather, communities will, quote, be able to take advantage of different parts, depending on where the needs are in their communities and where the opportunities are, end quote. Warren emphasized that housing is not just a Massachusetts or blue state issue. Therefore, the bill was negotiated with support from Democrats and Republicans. Mayor Nicholson voiced his support for the bill, saying, quote, an increased commitment at the federal level for the goals we have here in our community to increase housing supply and improve housing affordability is critical to achieving the scale that it is going to take to solve this problem, end quote. Last week, the Healey-Driscoll administration announced they are partnering with 100 community-based preschool programs to distribute $20.3 million in Commonwealth Preschool Partnership Initiative grants to 30 school districts. The goal of these grants is to expand access to high-quality, affordable preschool programs for families across the state. Lynn Public Schools is one such district, receiving a sum of $942,000 for their early education programs. According to new data from Massachusetts, as a whole, 2/3 of CPPI program children are students of color, while a third of participants are English language learners. But most importantly for Lynn, the Gateway to Pre-K agenda has tripled the amount of students being served by CPI grants when compared to 2 years prior in gateway cities and rural communities. As stated by Governor Healey, quote, we know that far too many parents are being held back from returning to the workforce because of the daunting cost of childcare. That's why we have been focused on expanding access to universal pre-K through our schools and community-based programs across the state. Access to high-quality pre-K helps close learning gaps before students enter kindergarten, leveling the playing field and setting children up for success in school, end quote. On August 21st, the MBTA announced that fare checks as part of its fare engagement program will begin in the subway system on September 8th. This means that engagement representatives will begin issuing formal warnings and citations to passengers who have not paid at a fare gate or box. A first offense results in a written warning. A second offense results in a civil citation with a fine. Third offenses carry a $50 fine. And fourth or subsequent citations are $100. Back in October of 2024, the MBTA hired and trained 16 fair engagement representatives. And within the first few weeks of them being on site, fare collection increased by 35%. They also began engaging in a public outreach education program and can be identified at all stations by their blue shirts, khaki pants, and MBTA ID badges. As explained by MBTA General Manager and CEO Philip Eng, they rely on all commuters paying their fares to support service upgrades and frequency in all modes of MBTA transportation. The Lynn Harbor Park is officially open for business, and Ward 6 Councilor Fred Hogan hosted the inaugural event this past Saturday. The first annual Ward 6 Kite Day was a great success, filling the sky with kites and the park with families, not to mention all the organizations tabling at the event and the free food.
Welcome to the first annual Kite Day. Ward 6 Lynn Kite Day here at the brand new Lynn Harbor Park. It's been amazing. The community of Lynn is amazing. Everyone reached out to me and donated kites. This is not possible without everyone donating kites. We got over 400 kites, and today we've got about 100 and something kites in the air right now and all over the Harbor Park, from this end at the gazebo to the other end by the basketball courts. I want to give a shout out to the Lynn Fire Department too. They're here with their drone. They're doing a drone picture and a video of the whole event from the sky. So this is a harbor park for all the Lynn residents to come out and enjoy. And this is the first event hosted here. And we're looking forward to having more events here. And I want to thank LCTV for coming out and covering this event. And this is truly amazing. This is all about community today.
Two Lynn residents, Lisa Tulipani and Maria Riley, heard about the barriers and mobility issues many families face when attending community events. Drawing on this and their own experiences, they founded the Lynnebago, a vehicle with ADA-compliant bathrooms and an adjustable changing table. It also features a sensory room for neurodivergent residents and a multilingual communication panel. Back in 2023, they won the Northeast Arc's Social Innovation Contest, securing a $75,000 grant. For the past 2 years, they have been talking with the community as to the barriers many disabled people face when trying to leave their homes, bought and equipped the trailer, and are now ready to hit the road. It was created to encourage those with greater physical and or mental needs to attend more events. Examples include people with limited mobility who cannot use regular bathrooms, or neurodivergent people who get overwhelmed in larger crowds. As stated by Tulipani, quote, "Who gets to participate in certain events is decided by who designs the spaces and the programs. Though if there isn't a space for you, you create that space. Spaces that exist should allow everyone to exist," end quote. And that is exactly what they did, creating a space with the Lynnebago to be used at events such as movie nights and city festivals. 2025 marks the 250th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. To this end, the Quantico Band and Silent Drill Platoon have been touring and performing for people all over the country. They were in Lynn this past weekend, participating in a drill exhibition and pool function, along with the Lynn English Junior ROTC.
We're so excited to be here today, all right? Let me hear one more time how we doing.
I'm Captain Eddie Diaz. I am the Recruiting Station Boston Executive Officer. I've been in the Marine Corps for about 16 years. I'm from Lynn, Massachusetts. Yeah, the event was really designed to honor, right, some of the Marines that came before us, our veterans, which Lynn has a very healthy and strong and proud veterans group. Additionally, to honor the Marine Corps birthday, right, the 250th birthday, and then at the end, really to inspire future generations of Marines, right? Some of the people that we have in the local community, they're thinking about taking up the challenge and being a United States Marines. I love to plant the seed in their minds so we can continue that proud heritage of Marine Corps service in Lynn, Massachusetts. Absolutely, yeah. So events like these, right? So a lot of people in the crowd have probably never met Marines, never seen Marines, let alone seeing, you know, the Marine Corps Quantico Band, the Silent Drill Platoon performing at the highest level. So bringing the communities together, and then after the pool function, right? So the future Marines that we have in our area, having them compete, build camaraderie, and get ready for Parris Island and the challenges that they face when they meet their drill instructors for the first time.
The day also featured a presentation of a citation by Mayor Gerald Nicholson, saying, quote, "To have a capstone event like this, that is of regional importance, take place in the city of Lynn is a great opportunity to celebrate the city's connection to the Marines."
If you're interested in being a Marine, I implore you to go to see your local recruiter, have a conversation, talk about the future, see what the Marine Corps and how it aligns with your future goals and plans are.
LynnLab is partnering with graduate students from MIT's Medical Engineering and Science School for their latest project, Be Lynn, Biotech Explorers of Lynn, and applications are now open. In order to be considered, applicants must be high school students from Lynn or surrounding communities, have a vested interest in a STEM career path, provide a reference by school personnel, and be able to attend all sessions. The program will accommodate 24 students, be administered by an educator, and led by an instructor and 2 to 3 teaching assistants. Sessions will be held on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at North Shore Community College's Lynn campus. Students are also paid a $50 stipend for every session attended, with breakfast and lunch provided. Participants will engage in hands-on activities, practicing skills in neurology, cardiovascular mechanics, testing for antigens, microscopy, and artificial intelligence, among others. The deadline to apply is September 7th, 2025. Fall sports season is once again beginning in Lynn. Kip Academy football already participated in a scrimmage with North Reading, allowing the Panthers coaching staff to get a better read on the team's strengths and opportunities for growth. While the Tech Tigers will look to their young core this season. They are led by a 3-year starter at quarterback, but the bulk of their remaining starters are sophomores. All teams are slated to kick off the season on September 6th. 27 games are all that stand between MLB contenders and the playoffs, and Boston is currently clinging to the top wildcard seed by half a game over New York. Most recently, the Sox took 2 of 3 in New York before sweeping the Baltimore Orioles in a 4-game series to go 7-1 on their road trip. Back-to-school season also means an increase in traffic, children walking, and a decrease in speed in school zones. To this end, Police Chief Chris Reddy was back on the Lowdown, discussing safety tips for parents, students, and the general community, while also tying in the importance of technology in enforcing said safety laws. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Danny Vittori, and today we welcome back Police Chief Chris Reddy. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you for having me, Danny.
Of course. So one of the big things I know we're speaking about today is school is starting in a few weeks. I almost can't believe it that summer's almost over, but I'm sure you go through this every year talking about some of the safety tips you'd give to parents, students, and then, of course, all the cars on the road around the schools. You know,
you're exactly right. Summers always do go fast, and then it comes quickly, and we're at that point right now. And the big issue when the schools are starting out for us and really for the community has to do with traffic safety for the students coming and going from school, for the motorists, for everybody. And that's something I really think it's important to take a few minutes to talk about. So that's part of why I want to share that with you today.
So for, said students return to school, what safety tips would you start for giving to them?
So I think the first thing I would ask is for all parents to take a few minutes to talk to their kids about safety going and coming from school. They should be walking in groups. They should be really emphasizing crossing at crosswalks, not just running out wherever. If they're riding their bike, they should stop at the corner, wait for the signal to change, and follow the rules there. It's about taking the time as a parent to reinforce those lessons. Even though you may have talked about it before or last year, refresh those lessons with your child because it's critically important to keep them safe.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Like you said, you may have said it before, but always good to say it again, repeat.
Right.
And of course, there are a ton of cars in Lynn. There's a lot of road traffic. So now people may be used to going a certain speed, going a certain way, but that's really got to change with school starting.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. So first of all, be aware there's going to be more students out during the day. Just like we're asking parents to talk to their students about not just walking out between cars, which is so dangerous, we're asking motorists to be aware that some of that will happen and just be mindful. Slow down, obey the speed limits, put your phone down, do not be a distracted driver. It's so critically important because none of us wants to be responsible for causing a student or anyone to be harmed because of our driving behavior. So really a lesson to all motorists. And then beyond that, at the schools, we have to make, there are certain temporary traffic controls that go into place. Many schools have a one-way during the arrival period and the dismissal period each day, and that's to help traffic flow and to allow the traffic to get moved through the area as students are being dropped off and picked up more easily. And people just need to be mindful of that. Do not rely on your GPS because your GPS doesn't always have the awareness of these temporary traffic changes. Right. You should be paying attention to the road and be careful not to go the wrong way in a one-way because it puts the students at danger.
Mm-hmm. And in all places around schools, the speed limit always drops to 20. I know I see the signs everywhere, and some of them have the flashing signs, but that's another. It is slower than maybe certain other places in the city.
Yeah, and that's obviously by design to give you more time to react. But 20 miles an hour is still, fast if there's a lot of cars or a lot of kids. So again, pay attention to the conditions before you and react that way. And the other thing we would ask parents when you are engaging in drop-off or pickup with your child, be careful about double parking or doing other things. I understand parents need to get to work or they need to get other places and they are just trying to do a quick drop-off and pick up. But when you double park and drop your student off, they are entering into traffic, and that puts them at risk. You certainly never intend that anything bad to happen, but the consequences can be real. You think you're safe, but you don't know what the guy behind you is going to do, if they're going to pass you because you pulled over. So double parking is a frequent complaint we get from the schools and other parents, and it also puts the students at danger. So we'd ask you, instead, think about setting up a meeting place, a couple of 100 yards down from the school where your child can meet you every day. That's where you're going to pick them up, but you're staying away from all that crush of traffic right in front of the school. So planning is good for everybody.
Yeah, that's a good piece of advice too, because added on to that is also you have school buses. You have many that are used, kids getting dropped off, and that's another whole piece of maneuvering and making sure you're paying attention to them.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, for parents, you've been driving through the summer, there's been no school buses, there's been low traffic. We're going to very quickly have significant increases in traffic during the school arrival and dismissal periods, and that's going to include the buses as well, and they're going to stop. And we do have a problem, not just in this community, but throughout the Commonwealth, is the hazard of motorists who get impatient and they go around a bus with the flashing red lights. Obviously, if we see that, we're going to pull you over and you're going to get a hefty fine, but more importantly, you put the students at risk. So allow for more time for your daily commute as the school season starts, because things are going to be more congested traffic-wise, and it's going to take a little more time. And again, coming back to the conversation between parents and their children, if your child rides the bus, talk to them about how to behave on a bus. Like, they should be seated at all times. They should be respectful to the bus driver and listen to that driver's directions, and just be a respectful presence on that bus, and everyone will be safer if we all can just be patient that way.
Because it's all about safety for the kids, for the motorists, for everybody. That's
Absolutely.
the bottom line.
That's the bottom line, 100%. And we've had several pedestrian crashes in recent months with young people on bikes or otherwise walking into traffic, and those were just sort of random events. But we know that as school season starts, there's going to be more interaction, students crossing streets, coming and going from schools, and we just want to really emphasize the importance of being aware of your surroundings.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And you said, and you definitely do, and that's great advice to give to students. Another way that you're even ramping it up too is bringing back another program, which is the motorcycles.
That's right.
Which you used to have, and now you have again.
Yeah, so we're very excited about this. We're starting a motorcycle program, and we have 4 officers. It's an 80-hour certification course to be able to ride a motorcycle, and that's really important because riding a motorcycle in a congested community presents a lot of challenges for the officers, and the training is really challenging, but they'll come away with the skills necessary to ride safely. So we have 4 officers who've completed that certification course. We have the motorcycles that are now at the police station and being marked up and ready to go. I think they'll be able to share some images of that with you. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use those for a range of purposes. They're a very useful traffic enforcement tool because we will be increasing traffic patrols around schools as school starts. The motorcycles can get to areas a little bit more easily, but they also can be used in areas that a typical cruiser can't easily access. That could be the bike trail, that could be certain parks, it could be congested areas. The motorcycles can enter them and create a visible presence, a deterrence for bad behavior, and also traffic enforcement more easily. So we're very excited about that. It's one more tool that we can use to service the community and promote safety and good driving behavior. So looking forward to that.
You said it's another piece, it's another way to show enforcement and get to places that you can't really reach, so that's a 2-piece of it as well. Because another thing is you just received funding to actually get a drone for the department, which can also reach places that we as humans cannot.
Exactly. Again, it's another area that we're excited, and we're trying to create opportunities that help our officers to grow professionally, but also provide a public safety service to the community. And the drones are something that we've seen more and more, not only in the Commonwealth, but across the country. And the drones are a tool that we will be able to use for crime scene investigation, for crash reconstruction, for missing person searches and things of that nature. That's what our initial goals are going to be. Mm-hmm. But they'll also do some patrol function along areas such as the bike trail or the New Harbor Park or some other areas that are not easily accessible. Will allow us to check and see what's occurring and respond accordingly. It's really an exciting development in technology. We know that communities across the country are now using drones as a first responder.
Wow.
So drones are being dispatched at the same time cruisers are, but they can zip through the sky and get a bird's eye view very quickly, and that information can then be shared back in the signal room where communications come from, and our officers will be updated with suspect description or the circumstances of a crash or whatever might be occurring at the location of the call. So I do think this is the future. We're starting by just using it for crash reconstruction, crime scene, missing persons, and some general patrol work, but I think we're going to see more and more of this across the country in the future.
Definitely, technology as a piece is starting to become more prevalent in all our lives and everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's so many, obviously, positive steps to it. And I know another thing we do want to address is, of course, there's always the questions about privacy whenever any new technology is introduced, but especially a drone that can fly around and see a lot of different places. What would you say to alleviate some of those concerns?
Yeah, it's a valid concern. It's one that we take very seriously and we build right into our policies. And it's the requirement. The drones will be used only in areas where the public has a right of access. We cannot use that to take images to look inside someone's home or anywhere where they have an expectant right of privacy unless we get authorization from a court, which requires a really extensive amount of probable cause and justification for a judge to grant that. And that's really not our goal. Our intention and goal is to use it in those public areas, and we'll have a policy that will be guided guide that use, and the public will be able to see that policy. We'll make it available to them.
And like the motorcycle cops, there's an extensive amount of training that goes into. I remember I've looked at, to be able to fly a drone, it's hours of training and certification so that you use it properly. That's correct.
And there's FAA rules that our officers will have to be required to follow, and a lot of other training that the vendors that provide the drones will give us as well to make them used in the appropriate way.
Which I definitely leave you well, and like you said, drones are the future. That's what's happening, and it'll provide so many benefits. And I know you also want to speak a bit about technology just in general. There were I think they're called the blue cameras that were just installed even just a few months ago, and you said they're already helping you.
That's correct. So you know that we started the body-worn camera program 4 years ago, and I really think the city of Lynn was one of the early police departments to get on board with body-worn cameras, and it has really been remarkable, the good work by our officers that it has shown over and over again, and the really difficult situations and how they've handled them, and I think it's worked very well. At the same time, it demonstrates a level of accountability so the community knows that our officers are doing things the right way, and it's really been effective, and we're grateful for that. We then recently, in the last year or two, actually in the last year, have transitioned and installed cameras throughout the community. And this is something that we saw was being used effectively in other nearby communities. And that's what you referenced in the blue boxes. And we've already used that, again, it's in public places. It's not being used to look in any place where someone has an expectant right of privacy. But the information helps us to identify suspects, helps us to more effectively identify traffic issues, and has really already been used to help us solve a number of violent crimes and significant property crimes. And it's helping us to make the community safer through the use of technology, which is really where we should be heading.
Yeah, because you're using it, it's not replacing the work that you do, it's helping it, it's enhancing it, allowing you to maybe get to certain conclusions even faster.
So for example, exactly, we would maybe have a crime somewhere, and then you would have a general description, and our detectives would have to go door to door to door, walk street to street to look for cameras on buildings or people's Ring cameras and try to get images of the suspect. Now, with a little bit of information, we can very quickly identify the suspect vehicle or individual, get a flight path and other information that helps to move the investigation forward more quickly.
You're able to get the pieces together more quickly, and you are using it very efficiently. You know, you see it around, and I even said before, you, as well as your whole department, are very front-facing, approachable, and it's great that you're able to come on and speak about this to the public, alleviate some of those concerns.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and that's our goal. Is we want the public to feel like we're approachable. It's our job as the police department in the city is to build those relationships and have the community feel like a level of trust, and that they can approach us and that we're there to help them be safe.
Well, I believe you've definitely done that, and I know I do have to wrap up now, but I want to thank you again so much for coming on, discussing all these new policies, the school safety, and everything in the future. I'm really excited to see how it goes.
So well, thank you for having me, and I look forward to the next time. Thank you, Danny.
Of course, anytime. And once again, I'm Danny Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Join Mayor Nicholson and his staff in turning City Hall Lynnside Out. The City of Lynn has announced the 2025 Lynnside Out Festival, taking place on Saturday, September 6th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Frederick Douglass Park. There will be a multitude of city departments tabling, including the Mayor's Office, EDIC Lynn, Parking, Community Development, Fire, Police, Veteran Services, the LynnCom team, and many more. There will also be free food, bouncy houses, music, and face painting. Calling all LGBTQ youth aged 11 to 17, You can participate in NAGLY's BU program on the second Monday of every month. The next rendition will be Monday, September 8th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Raw Artworks. These events feature a variety of activities, peer support, food, and a safe environment for LGBTQ+ youth to express themselves. No pre-registration is required. The following week on September 9th, head to City Hall for a Recovery Month event and flag raising. The event begins at 4 p.m. when residents can learn more about recovery resources offered in Lynn, followed by speeches and a flag raising at 4:30 p.m. and overdose response training in room 105 at 5 p.m. That is a wrap on the news for this week. As a reminder, preliminary elections are next Tuesday, September 2nd, and polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., so be sure to get out there and vote. Go to lyntv.org/election for a map of all polling locations and an Election Day guide. Additionally, all results will be posted on our website, lyntv.org, and our socials at Lynn Community TV that evening. If you prefer your news in shorter video segments, then Lynn Community Television on YouTube is the place for you. I'm Danny Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Leo Inc., Daolis Brothers Construction, and King Movers and Storage.